I'd love to hear what your impression of Leigh Anne was when you first met her.
Well, I was amazed that Sean was able to persuade a woman who was so good looking to marry him. That was my first impression. And then after that, you know, she's such a pistol. She's so full of piss and vinegar.
Oh yeah.
And when you meet her, she's so simply charming. She's very friendly and effusive and all the rest. But you quickly get the sense that if you cross her, there's another side.
Yeah.
And so my relationship with Leigh Anne has always been slightly tinged with fear, because I know you can get on the bad side of her, and I don't want to be on the bad side of her. And it's all and she has a lot of things are black and white to Leigh Anne, and to me a lot of things are shades of gray. And it is a subject of much amusement between us. But she sees the world differently than I see the world. But I quite admire the way she sees the world. She intrigued me as a character. I mean, she intrigued me. I liked her as a person, and I much prefer liking the people I'm writing about than not liking not liking them. But beyond that, beyond liking her, she intrigued me as a character because it wasn't as simple as just Steel Magnolia. I thought it was very interesting that she was raised in an extremely racist household, not just a typical casually Southern racist household, but a dad who was a violent racist, and that she broke with it consciously, and that she broke with it consciously because of her husband. That she's very open about this. That she wasn't even allowed. She never had contact with black people. Sean, as a fantastic basketball player, I remember as a kid in New Orleans, if you were a fantastic basketball player, even if you went to the private school filled with white kids, you were out on the streets playing basketball with black kids. Yeah. And you were in AAU, you were in the equivalent of the AAU. You had meaningful relationships with black kids. And Sean was always comfortable. He was never white. Sean he didn't see color kind of thing. And I think in their wedding, they had several of Sean's black teammates were groomsmen, right? And for Leigh Anne's father, that must have been a huge shock. It must have been very brave of her to sort of cross that line. So I thought that made her, that lent an interesting dimension to her as a character. You know, it's funny that in this world, there are self-conscious eccentrics and there are genuine eccentrics. And in her own way, she's a genuine eccentric.
Agreed.
She doesn't look like an eccentric. She's very, you know, she presents, you know, high normal, but that's not how she behaves. And I realized this about her when once I sort of did the deep dive into the story and was trying to figure out what had happened early on, and I realized that she didn't think of much of what had happened as unusual or a story even.